Hello, welcome. Chances are you want to move to Thailand. Not only do you want to move to Thailand, but you want to teach in Thailand. So I am here to give you a few little tidbits on what I think you should know before you make that flight, before you make that 17, 20, 22 hour, 27 hour journey to Thailand to become a teacher. Here are some of the things I think you should know. Let's hop right in. Now, my name is Jalen. I have been an educator for over 6 years. I love teaching. I love being in the classroom, sharing my knowledge, working with others, building up what they know, and also learning from others as well. I have taught in the United Arab Emirates, in Dubai, and I've also taught in America. Woo! And now I am teaching in Thailand. So yes, I'm a teacher out here in Thailand. I have been out here for almost half a year now, so things are looking pretty good, and I wish I would have known some of these things before coming out here so that it could get me better acquainted with what the culture is like for teachers. What is the culture like for educators? What are the students like? What are the schools like? What is the system that you're now about to step into? Chances are, if you're watching this video, you are an educator. You are also someone who wants to expand and dive deep into a different culture. Maybe you are attracted to Thailand for its Sabai culture, how relaxed and chill it is. Or maybe you are attracted to Thailand and the nature that's out here, maybe the spirituality, the way you can connect, or maybe you're just looking for a change in pace and you are someone who likes the nightlife and wants to go out and wants to be able to just live abundantly, but also live freely, maybe a little carefree as well. And chances are you could be someone who has no teaching experience whatsoever. This is going to be your first teaching job, your first time working with kids in this capacity. And so yes, you will need to know these things because this is a whole new forefront. It's not going to be like how it is at home. So when you think about your nieces and your nephews and how they are in the classroom and how they are in general, it's going to be very different if you're coming from a Western country. So if you're coming from Europe, America, any of these countries that are in the West, then you are going to be in foreign territory. So here are some things that I wish I would have known before coming out here and beginning my teaching journey. First thing first, the Thai students have a lot of energy. What that means is that they are always talking or laughing or interacting with each other, moving around the classroom, engaging with each other. So there's a lot of camaraderie within the classroom overall. So the students are going to be moving around and enjoying each other, and you will have to adapt your lessons to the movements of the students. So I would definitely recommend, and what all programs out here recommend, is that you develop your lesson plans to have hands-on projects. Whether you are dealing with kindergarteners, which is your P1 level, or you are dealing with 12th graders, and that is your M6 level, you will need hands-on exercises and lesson plans that can easily be adapted so that they can interact with each other, move around the classroom, use their hands, use their brains, and also utilize some physical actions. So I definitely recommend that you have some interactive lesson plans. For example, if you are dealing with the P level, so P level will be your elementary school from kindergarten up until, I believe, 5th grade. And so for that age group, build this, paint this, create this, work together to create this task, work together to figure out this clue. And if you are dealing with your high schoolers, middle schoolers, which is M1 to M6, you're going to need more projects. Hey, create this Canva presentation. Hey, with your group, create this project and come up to the board and then present it. Show me this dance. Show me this activity. What are you thinking? What is your neighbor thinking? All right, now share it with the class. So these are some hands-on type of, ideas that you can bring into your classroom, but you will need to have hands-on activities with every class that you see. Not every single class, because you do need those class times that are structured just towards teaching them and giving them the information they need to build the project or build whatever activity you're going to be working on, but you will definitely need a couple of hands-on projects that you're working on. One project that another teacher was doing that I thought was really cool, and I was like, oh my gosh, if my school had the resources, I would do that, was having the kids create a cookbook. And so by the end of the year, they would have several pages from the cookbook, and they would have gone to the library to bring in different recipes, to find them, and then at some point they would go to the actual kitchen in the school and be able to make some of their food items. So I thought that was very creative. Another one that I typically do a lot is presenting them with the facts, presenting them with whatever the idea is that we're learning, and then having them create a presentation on it. Do your deep dive, read through the lesson, create your presentation, and now come up and present it to the class for 2 to 3 minutes. And activities like that allow for them to engage with the information. It allows for the student to be able to absorb the parts that really are crucial to them, and it allows them to develop critical thinking skills in how to find the answers that they're looking for and then connect the dots to the big picture. And so that brings me to my next point, which is critical thinking. Critical thinking is such a huge focus out here because you want to make sure that these kids are not just, connecting the dots, or not just, doing 1, 2, 3 and knowing the order that things go in, but you want to make sure they have a deeper knowledge and deeper understanding to it. So if they're connecting 1, 2, 3 to 4, you want them to also be able to explain why 1 connects to 2, why does 2 connect to 3, why does 3 connect to 4, and then be able to apply that concept in different settings. So for example, if you're teaching science and you are teaching them the process of how seeds grow, so you have your seed, you put it in the dirt, you cover it, you put water and sunlight, and then you repeat that process for a few weeks until you start to see a little sprout. Yay! You need them to also understand that that is not just for one seed or for one plant, that is for all plants. And that's not just for in Thailand or in their backyard, that can happen all over the world. And sometimes those elements may change and you still may be able to produce that plant. So if you're in an area that has colder climate, then they're not going to need as much sunlight. They may use less sunlight. They may not have the same type of soil, but the process overall is still the same. And so connecting those critical thinking dots is very crucial and something that all programs will be looking for when you come out here to teach the students. So I'll give one more point about the students, and then I'll move on to the school systems overall. I'll give one more point about students and sort of the dynamic in the classroom. That way you have a better idea of what you're stepping into. But it is a very relaxed classroom in terms of, if you're like myself and you've taught in private, government, charter, a number of different schools, you have a range of background. And then if you are coming from not having any background and you've just seen what a classroom structure should be like, and you're coming from the West, you kind of have to throw that away, because the focus here is on lecture-based teaching. And that's lecture in terms of, hey, I'm going to come into the room, I'm going to greet you all, you're going to greet me, I'm going to teach you for a good 10 to 15 minutes. And that 10 to 15 minutes is actual solid teaching. That is the lecturing part. During that time, you will see a lot of energies, a lot of behaviors in the classroom that you're just going to let go, because you understand that these students are hyperactive. They have a lot of energy. I myself have gone by hyperactive vibes for a long time, so I completely understand what it's like to be a student with a lot of energy, and I honestly engage the best with those students with the high energy. So you're going to come into that classroom, you're going to teach them for 15 minutes, give them whatever knowledge it is. They're going to be a little fidgety, they're going to be a little anxious, they're going to be smiling, talking with each other a little bit. And then that's when you get into your hands-on element, where you're giving them the project, using the knowledge that you just gave them. Now they're able to move around the classroom, engage with each other, and kind of have that freedom and movement. And so that's where you go from the lecture style to the hands-on style, sort of like a Montessori classroom. A Montessori classroom where the students are engaging with activities, very hands-on. They're learning through action, not just by reading or regurgitating. And so in that first 15 minutes, they kind of are doing that regurgitating process. They're absorbing, they're doing yes or no, they are reading what's on the board, they're taking it directly into their, into their minds. And then that next 15 minutes or 20 minutes, now they're doing the activity where that develops the critical thinking, where they're connecting the dots between what they just learned and regurgitated into how to make it practical, how to make it connect those dots. And then in the last maybe 5 to 10 minutes, that is when you are regrouping them. Either you're presenting whatever they just did, or you are giving them an exit ticket, one little small task to make sure they know that it's the end of the class and that it's time to move on to the next. Maybe you give them a question, maybe you give them one little task they need to do. Everybody find the person in the room whose birthday is on September 15th. And now that gives them a little task to do right before they leave, and then they can all have a seat and sit down. And that also kind of tells them in their mind, like, hey, the classroom period is over, the day is over, we just finished another successful day with this teacher. So yeah, those are probably the 3 biggest points I would give you, especially that last point of just knowing that when you walk into that classroom, it is not going to be as rigid as what it is in Western or American societies, European societies. It will not be that rigid. There will be a lot more carefreeness and movement going on in the room, and to encourage you not to get distracted by it.
So now let's move on into how you get hired, like what companies to look out for, what ways are you being processed into an actual school. So let's start out with what companies to look out for. You will find a lot of training service companies. So these are third-party companies that are basically like private entities, and they hire in people like you, people that are looking for jobs in Thailand, looking to teach in Thailand, and they are going to supply the school with their service. You are the service. You are the licensed professional, or just the professional in this case, looking to get into a school. And so they're like that middleman, that third party, the step between getting you into a school that you actually like and enjoy, and giving a school a really nice teacher that knows what they're doing and is fully capable. And so you will find a lot of training companies. One really big website is called Ajarn. That is one of the biggest teaching websites here in Thailand, ajarn.com, and that is where you will set up your profile. You need to set up a profile. If the only thing stopping you is to set up your profile, then honestly put on a 30-minute timer and get it done. It takes no time. It's like any other application, but this is going to make a big difference, and it's going to give you so much access to a lot of the schools out here in Thailand. So now you know about the biggest site here that you're going to go on and check, and that is where you will be able to find these third-party companies. And so when you are brought in through a training company, they will typically give you some sort of training if you're coming in the beginning of the school year. And if you're coming in like halfway through, then they'll give you resources depending on your level of teaching. If it's your first time teaching, your second year, your third year, your fourth year, or even if you are a senior teacher, typically they will give you some resources to get started with. But if they don't, then I do want you to check out the first half of this video, because this is my second company that I'm working with. My first company gave me a lot of good resources. They weren't necessarily tailored towards the age group I was going to be teaching, so I did feel like I didn't have everything that I needed. And so when I stepped into the classroom, I felt unprepared, but regardless, they give you so much good training that once you get settled into the country, you can really adapt. And then the other teaching company that I'm with now, they really didn't give me any training at all per se, but what they didn't give me in training, they did make up for in that observing phase. And so either way, no matter what company you choose, they'll give you some sort of backlog and information to get started with. It just may look different. So with the second company, I was able to shadow for 2 days, shadow the teacher, get a feel for the students, get a feel for the school, the environment, the norms, the location, the drive, the transportation to get there. There were so many things that I was able to get accustomed to and acquainted to just in being able to tour those 2 days and shadow those 2 days before I started on that third day. So for me, honestly, that was more helpful than the training, because I'm coming in kind of already knowing the basics of what it takes to be a teacher, but I don't know or wasn't sure about what it means to teach this grade level in this environment. And so for me, the shadowing was way more effective than the training, but for someone like yourself, the training may be way more important than the shadowing, to know how to create your lesson plans, to see the type of structure that you should expect to see in the classrooms, to sort of get to know their overall levels and get that foundational information on what it's like to teach in Thailand. So that's what some programs will offer versus others. But if you can, you want to be joining in that program in the beginning of the year. That way you can take full advantage of the 1, 2, 3, 4 day, week-long training that they do offer if your company offers that. And so yes, your training services, your training third-party organizations, they are going to be very helpful. They're going to provide you with training, and they're going to get you into a school that they feel like best fits you and then also best fits them. And then you will have to shadow and do a demo, is a better word. So you will do a demo to show that you can teach to get hired. Then you'll do another demo to the school, and then typically you'll be shadowed and observed at some point in your first couple of of weeks working at that school. So they really make sure that you're a good fit, and that's also your time to make sure that they're a good fit for you. And during that time, I believe in most schools and most training programs, you can ask to be changed around as well. It may be harder because at the end of the day, they're trying to fulfill every single spot. But if you feel as though, hey, I'm not sure if I can teach these little kids, I'm a lot more calmer and this might be too much energy for me, then you should definitely bring that to whoever's in charge and see what they say. And if they can't, then just, roll with the punches, look up some more videos and, reset your brain, maybe take a chill pill and just breathe and figure out what other teachers are doing that's been successful. And maybe you're in a case where you don't want to teach older kids because it's not as engaging as you want it to be. So you're looking for younger students. And so that's something to also think about as well. In my case, I have been teaching all girls, and I find that all girls can be very easy in terms of them just being able to work and listen and get their work done and not really have too much sassiness. But I have noticed that when they're not being sassy when it comes to learning, they are being sassy in other areas. And for me, as a girl who's like a girl's girl and is always about uplifting other girls and other women, it was a little hard to be in an environment where that is just not the norm. And I don't think that's the case for all girls schools, but the girls school that I was at was very kind of like catty a little bit, and I didn't really enjoy the stories that were being told and how rumors kind of spread too fast. But when you're in an environment full of women, then you kind of are susceptible to that sort of stuff. I think if you're a male teaching in an all-girls school, then it would be much different. But for me, myself, and it was just not a good fit overall because of the everyday, day-to-day. Even though I enjoyed my students and I enjoyed my environment and my boss and everything, I just thought that, the everyday sort of cattiness was not what I'm here for. Because I'm a very honest person and I'm very like what it is, what you see like on face value. And so I'm teaching now at a co-ed school, and I prefer that a lot better because, where girls can be a little bit more sassy, then the guys can be a little bit more rough around the edges. And so it really balances out the classroom for me. And so I'm able to deal with a more engaging classroom, students that want to kind of be there and are very excited to be there and have that high energy. But, no bad energy to the previous school. And, I think that they will be great in doing whatever they do. But I am happy to be in an environment that is more high energy and just more engaging and less about the superficial things and more about, hey, let's have some fun. Let's get to learning. They're definitely a more active class that I have. So I'm actually pretty happy with this change because I used to be, a PE teacher, a physical educator, and an athletic director. So I kind of like that hands-on environment, and I like students that have a lot of energy. So this school is a better fit for my personality, which I really enjoy. Now, the other way that you can get hired into schools is through the school itself. So whether you are looking to go with the international school or you are looking to be hired with a government school, you can apply directly to those schools. What this does mean is that there is not just one website that you get to, submit your application on and it goes to everybody. This means in this case, you will be resubmitting your application for each school that you apply to. And one site that's good for that is JobsDB.com. JobsDB.com is a really good source for teachers or people who are looking to go directly into a school. Maybe you want an international school, so you're gonna be able to really find those and hone in on those and then find their websites and be able to really see exactly what that school is offering instead of just being placed into a school that you really don't know much about. And so that's sort of your trade-off if you go for a training company. You won't really know the school too much prior versus if you go for being hired directly into the school at JobsDB, then you'll have a really good idea what the school stands for already. You can kind of prepare for the students that you're going to have, whether they're international, government, or private schools in itself. So either way you choose, you really can't go wrong with either. But I do recommend that you look into Thai students and you look into international students because even within themselves, it's going to be a very different culture. And now the last point that I want to make is just on qualifications because this is so important. And the base minimum qualification that you will need is a bachelor's degree, period. You will need a bachelor's degree in order to become a teacher in Thailand. However, there are some sites, there are some companies that will hire you if you have your TEFL or if you have your IELTS. You need to do your research to find them, but they do exist and they do not require you to have your bachelor's degree, okay? Because you have a certification. The whole point is that you need a certification. You need some sort of certification showing that you are qualified to be doing what you're doing. And of course, in the highest paid position, it's going to be having your bachelor's degree and your teacher's license, and that's going to be the best duo that you can possibly come out here to Thailand with, and you'll find that you're making within like the top 5% of what teachers earn out here, and that is really awesome because the cost of living is low and you're making so much, and then you're also able to give back into the community because you're buying local, you're supporting local, you're also helping educate the locals. So it can be a really good trade-off when you're able to come out to Thailand having your bachelor's degree and your teaching certification. You will be set and good to go. And if you are a teacher that teaches special needs, then do know there is a high demand for you even in the international schools. And if you are choosing and looking to get paid the most, you're going to be looking towards those international schools even though you need the most qualifications. I think that teaching out here in Thailand is very different than teaching anywhere else in the world because the students are so high energy, but it's also a relaxed classroom, and then you also have their attention span for just a few minutes there, and you also want to make sure they're being hands-on. So you find yourself kind of like, whoo, you need to have that structure, but overall as a schedule, it is very relaxed compared to the Western schools. And the US, you're teaching 8 hours a day with 1 hour break. In Thailand, you are teaching maybe 3 hours a day, 4 hours a day, and the rest of that time is your break. And depending on where you're located, you have that flexibility to go off the campus and get some coffee and properly fuel yourself for the next class. You have the option to stay on campus and get that grading done. You have more time to get grades done. So the teaching style out here is definitely as if you are, I don't know what the word is, but the teaching style out here is like you are the prize. Like you are the prize as a teacher out here. When you are teaching in that classroom, it is for the special amount of time. You have these special subjects to these special students, and you want to make sure that they feel special as well, that they're engaging with the lesson plan to the best of their ability and to the best of your ability as well, but also keeping in mind that there's going to be those stragglers in the back who are just kind of coasting through and doing their own thing. But you are the prize in the classroom, and you need to make sure that your lesson plans are great and that they are, fully kind of hitting on those dots. But also, don't take it too personally if no one's really listening to your lecture too much, and know that the people that are listening are going to get the information. But you want to make sure that you're giving your best, when you show up to the room, that you are engaging with the students to the best of your ability. Don't drain yourself, and I think that's the best part about teaching in Thailand is that it's kind of hard to drain yourself when you have so much free time and when the levels are very different in terms of like what level they can speak English. So go with the flow, be very sabai, try not to drain yourself, calm down, but also know that it's not going to be all students are sitting at 100%. Honestly, if you are teaching high school and middle schoolers, all students may be at like 60%. So 60% of your class may be listening. In some cases, you may just have 40% of your class listening. And then with the younger kids, it's much easier to get their attention. So you should expect maybe about 60 to 80% with people having, those really big outbursts at some time. But definitely being more patient, you're definitely more chill, and you are the prize here. You have more flexibility. Whether you've taught before or not, I think you can definitely teach in Thailand, but you just want to make sure that you are kind of knowing those tidbits and points, that way you can last teaching in Thailand. And that's probably my last thing that I'll say before I head out, is that you want to last teaching here. Yes, you can get hired. Yes, they'll bring you in, they'll give you the training, you'll meet the students, they'll like you, they'll love you, but will you last in that school or in that environment is the real question. And so when you are out here and you get that job and you're settling in, you get your house and your work permit and everything's coming through, you want to also pace yourself because burnout is real, because at any point things can change, and so you want to keep your options open and make sure that you have all your proper documents, and just kind of know that you want to make it through the year. And if you can make it through 1 year teaching in Thailand, you can make it through 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. Okay, you got this. And Let me know if you want more information. Let me know if you would like to know what the process looks like once you're actually hired and you're teaching out here, like the work permits, the visas, housing, things of that nature. And yeah, let me know, and I'm more than welcome to give that information. I'll probably end up making the video anyway because I'm in the mood to share. So yeah, I am teaching in Thailand right now. This is actually a school, and that is actually a temple, which is so cool. And you'll always see a temple in a church, a temple in a school right next to each other. So that is very fun. Feels like I'm in a blessed area, which is nice. I always feel so protected when I'm looking out the window and just walking through the city because I know what's kind of nearby. But I would love to help you all figure out what's nearby to you and help you pick the best place for yourselves if you're taking this journey, to the next stage. But I hope this video was helpful, and please come back for more. Hit that alarm bell so you get the next Thailand post, and check out my shorts. I post every day. Bye guys, I'm Jaylin.